There we go. I got YouTube up so I can see our commenters. Absolutely excellent. Close that out. Open that. Wonderful. All right. I got tip ranks open. We'll be good to go there. All right. Bring up my screen share. Awesome. All right, I got CCIV's chart pulled up. Oh, and I got rid of my line. Okay, I got rid of the right one. We're good. Perfect. Excellent. And then YouTube comments. Perfect. There we go. All right, right now it's not showing me the chat, so hopefully it shows me the chat soon, so that way I can see you guys commenting. If not, I'll just restart the YouTube side of it. All right, so pre-market. We're looking all right, pre-market so far. I've been talking about CCIV a lot because of the most recent business combination, and I actually, that overshadowed, because more recent, the Gore's Holding 4 that we had for, or I'm sorry, 6 GHVI. So Gore's Holding becoming Matterport. So we actually have Matterport ticker in there as well. Let's take a look intraday on CCIV. Then we'll move over to Matterport. We'll take a look at what's going on. All right. So CCIV, along with that that news that we have that that is going through, we'll see if it breaks over these little peaks that we had. There we shot up over 2480 for just a moment. There we go. So sometimes you get those quick wicks. So what do we got? 2420 to beat across those days. Let's look outside of that and see where we need to go. All right, so when the market opens, if we're at about $24 a share, that puts us, if you look, we're at 23.29 there. So 24 would be about where yesterday's high price was at 24.18. So we'll see if the announcement of that combination holds up, or if it's going to sell off now that it finally happened, if things are going to settle for Lucid for a little bit moving forward. With the combination going through today, with the approval today, then I'd imagine on Monday is when we get that ticker change over to LCID. And if you use WEBULL, if you don't, there's a referral code in the description of this video. You can go and you check that out. If you sign up using my link, you get 2 free stocks, and I also get some free shares for the referral. Moving on from there, though, WEBULL is pretty good at carrying through with those charts. I know TD Ameritrade, I think on their apps, when there's a ticker symbol change, it doesn't always show me all the history of that one. I don't know if they've updated that to fix it, where you go through that ticker change and then it handles it better. In the past, though, it was a problem. But WEBULL, like I said, is usually pretty smooth, that you'll go and you'll see the same exact chart from CCIV to when it changes over post-merger over to Lucid Motors. So we'll see if the news caught up on WEBULL. It hasn't so far 3 hours ago. We'll see if that updates. If not, we'll go to the internet. We'll check that out. We got about 9 minutes until the market opens here. And let me see. Let's check out Matterport. Look at that. So yesterday, it actually had a fairly decent day, up over 5% after this sell-off. And this sell-off we saw a lot with a lot of the tech and the high growth. And this I've said before, it was brought to my attention by Meet Kevin. This is one of his babies that are out there. And I happen to really like what this company has going for it, and the technology that it brings, the ease of access and using software as a service. I think that they have a really nice business model, and that they have a huge market opportunity. You know, a broader adoption is going to be the thing that brings them a lot of success over time. It really makes things better for the consumer, the people who are looking at the dollhouse models that they have, 3D models, so they can get a better feel for the space. But then it also makes it better for the like landlords who it's enabling to move properties faster. There's also insurance claims that are able to be settled and stuff through the dollhouse models. So finally, from Gore's Holdings over to Matterport, we finally have that ticker symbol change, and you can see that we have all this history here from when it was GHVI over to Matterport. So that hasn't changed for us. Let's take a look intraday, see how they're doing. All right, kind of mixed so far. For me, a load up price for Matterport, I almost got a GHBI again. A load up for Matterport would be under $13, and right now, sitting about $14.50. It's not a place that I would load up on the stock. I think my cost basis for this is below $12 per share. When we had a relatively large sell off for this, I think it may have been back in May. When we had that happen is when I really started taking some positions in it, and now we'll just wait and see as time plays out. If the market's going to give us more of those opportunities, and how much of their price is actually tied to the housing market, and if the housing market should pull back on us, if GHBI is going to be tied to it in that same exact way. We'll just have to wait and find out. All right, I'm going to try and just reload my chat settings if I can. Hopefully I don't screw things up too badly here, but right now I can't see if anybody's talking to me. Okay, so bear with me for just a moment here. All right, what else do we have going on here in the pre-market? So there's Polkadot, awesome, doing all right. Chewy, MCW, Mr. Car Wash, that's one that was mentioned in Seeking Alpha's Catalyst Watch. There we go. There we go. Acquisition Texas-based super suds for undisclosed sum. So sounds like going. I don't really know much about this one, only that it's one that had some news coming up for it. Let me see. We'd have to go back a ways in order to find it. There we go. So we had some price targets come out for it recently, 25, 23, 21. There's one for $30. So it looks like $21 to $30 would be a lot of the price targets that we'd have. And right now they're sitting at about $22.64. So it sounds like they're a little rich compared to some of the price targets that you would have. So some of that fundamental value for the next 12 months already might be counted in. It looks like they IPO'd recently. That's what I think the news for this one is how much they rallied. And it looks like they've established a bottom somewhere just under $20 per share in its short history. All right, my chat's now open. So if you commented before and I wasn't able to see it, I'm now able to see the chat. So just, say hello. If there's a ticker that you want to see, just let me know and I will certainly go over that. There we are. Check out how Mara's doing. We still have a buildup of interest by institutions and retail in the crypto market. And so when we look at like Marathon Digital, a lot of sell off there. They dipped below the 200-day for a little while, but now they're back up above that. And now we're seeing if the 50-day that we have here is acting as resistance. It looks like we haven't quite reached it, but we're getting close to it. So let me zoom out a little bit more and see what else we have on the chart here. So looking to the left, it looks like somewhere around 26 to, let's see, about mid 26s to mid 27s or so. It looks like where we have about an area of resistance. And if we look at the 50-day, it looks like we're sitting right around in that price. There we go. Right around $26. I wonder if I can change my scale here to get a better view. There you go, 26.04. It looks like it's sitting at. Perfect. There we go. Facebook had a heck of a day yesterday. So when we look at Facebook, there you go. From yesterday, day 1.43. The day before that was 1.34, 1.40. And if we look intraday, just to see how they're doing, check that out in the after hours. So from yesterday, they took a decent size jump, 2.5% for a company that's big like Facebook. That's one of the FANG stocks. That's something that is pretty significant for them. And if you look at the analyst estimates on it, we have 351 is their current price probably from yesterday's close. 388 is the average analyst estimate, and that's based off 55 analyst estimates. And if you look at the distribution of those analyst estimates, we have a vast majority. So 83, 84% that say buy or strong buy, and then we have just a few filling in with holding or underperforming based on its current price target. So those that's incredible to see those things. All right, let me see what else we got. Morning, John. All right. John, I think the ticker that you're tossing out there is Desktop Metals. Yeah, our Desktop Metal Inc. 30 minutes. There we go. Wow. All right. Well, they took a drop yesterday. I wonder if they did like a capital raise or had poor earnings or bad news. Looks like they reached a little bit of oversold. Now they're just sitting in sort of bearish territory. Let's look at the daily chart. We got about a little under 2 minutes until the market opens here. Okay, so they took a fairly big drop yesterday, but it didn't take them back down to their previous low. So 897, and they closed at 876. Back to the middle of May, the low price there was 1020. So the news, now they're asking if it's a good stock to buy. There you go. I'm not seeing any news that that dropped it in price. And we actually have analyst estimates on this one, so up to 16, 17. So we have 6 analysts covering it. We have half of them saying to hold or underperform, and then we have the other half calling it a buy or a strong buy. So I wonder, we'll check out tip ranks in just a moment. Actually, we got time. We'll go to tip ranks now. All right, so we got Desktop Metals. It says $15 for the price target. The lowest price target is $9, and as of yesterday's close, it was trading below that $9 mark. So if that's the one sell and they're putting it $9 per share in 12 months, yeah, it doesn't necessarily put us in bad position for downside risk, according to the analyst estimates that we have here. Credit Suisse comes in, calls it a hold at 14. That was a month ago, and 2 months ago we had Benchmark 22. All right, so that's a fairly decent drop from what they were saying before. So I wonder what the news difference is. Let's check out Troy here. 188 out of 333 ratings were successful. 15.5% rate of return. Okay, not too bad for him. This guy, low rate of return, a higher amount of success, not a lot of ratings so far. 100 out of 150, not bad at all. 15.6. Excellent. All right, so it looks like we're sitting, as of yesterday's close, right around that low price target. There's the market open for us. Now we'll see where things are going. Wow, check out Snap. Woo, that is a gap up. Did they just have earnings come out? There we go. What do we got? Well, she's set to open higher on mega cap tech boost, strong earnings. There you go. So it's riding on the back of tech, and then it says gain 18% after hours. Snap's price $92 price target after $85 from 85 after a strong Q2. Excellent. So they got some good earnings out of that. Wonderful. Snap, I had a position in Snap all the way back when it was right around in here, like $50 to $54 per share or so, and I actually sold it when it went up into the 70s the last time. And now we're actually gapping up above that previous high, it looks like. Let me see what the previous high was. 73.59, and we're pushing 75 right now for Snapchat. Let's take a look intraday to see what's going on. Wow, check that out. So we had an awesome strong Q2, and then we had a little bit of a flag formation here. Great volume to open the day. Look at that compared to the volume from the previous days. So this one, very strong opening volume here at 5 million shares. And we zoom out more just to see more of the volumes that we had. At least over the past couple weeks of trading, this is the strongest open that we've had. And these are 30-minute candles. And so this is in the first 2 minutes of trading that we see it pop up over 75. If we look at the analyst estimates, it says that it's kind of rich, but we need updated analyst estimates based on the earnings that we're getting from big tech and from Snapchat themselves. So when we see those updates come in, we'll see how these adjust over time. Again, fairly large company with great coverage, 40 analysts covering it, and you can see the distribution of that coverage. Over 72% say to that it's a buy or a strong buy, and we have a quarter of them calling it a hold, and we have just what's that, one person coming out and saying to sell the thing. So we'll see how that news plays out over time. And they have some serious competition with TikTok. That's one of the things that's seen as sort of a headwind for them rather than a tailwind. But it looks like they're still navigating really well through this space, and we'll see how they innovate over time to work to compete with TikTok. All right. Facebook rocking 2.5% at the open here. What else do we have? Polygon up 4%. Excellent. I'll check out crypto in just a moment. I just want to keep going through the market open. I see Twitter jumping around there. Let's see how they're doing. All right, so they actually have a drop, and it looks like this little linear climb that we had at yesterday. We had at the close, just after the closing bell. So in the half hour that followed, we had a fairly large green candle. Not too bad on volume, and the volume stayed okay after that. A lot of low volume stuff, and then big volume to bring us back down to about that 50-period moving average that we have right around $71 per share. So that could act as support for us, and we can see this kind of recover a little bit as the trading day plays out and as it starts to recover. Let's go down to the 5-minute chart. All right, so in the 5-minute, a little bit faster moving here. We can see more of the price action of what's going on, and let me see, 71.53 for 200 of the 5-minute periods, and it looks like we peaked out just above that 50 period that we have there at 73. So we'll see how this goes. Let me see how the markets themselves open. All right, so the Dow not so bad. The Nasdaq was up quite a bit and then took a little bit of a drop down from there, and then S&P still doing all right, all green though. So we actually have a decent day for the markets as well. So with Twitter, this could be some of that settling from the hype that we had going into the close yesterday, bringing us down here. And we'll see. We'll go down to the 1 minute. I don't often go to the 1 minute just because it is so jumpy, especially when we look at these pre-market hours. But when we take a look at the 1 minute chart, it looks like we're finding bottom support right around that $70 mark. So a nice round number support. So a psychological support that we could have, thinking that it's a $70 stock. Double top resist right off the bat around 73. So that could be our range. We'll see if this support holds, or if we get some sort of it's possible we get a bearish pennant formation out of this. We'll see if it starts to pinch inward. Nope, there we go. Let's see if it tags 70. Got a lot of support coming in, relatively large amounts of support coming in around 70. So there could be enough upward pressure to hold this up. This early stuff can tag out people. It can trigger their stop losses and then, shake them out of their positions. But so far, I mean, hammer candle, like there's a lot of upward pressure on this that it could recover from this price. These long wicks coming off the bottom, they're fairly common when you have fast moving stocks early on in the trading day. All right. Just check the news on Twitter here. What do we got? Okay, big tech. Target bumps after earnings. Excellent. Twitter record beat. Okay, excellent. So, yeah, it was supposed to be a good quarter for tech. And right before earnings, we had that big sell-off, and now earnings are coming out, and these earnings are coming out great. And because of those positive news on the big tech earnings, we get these sort of movements, stating the strength that we have there. And it's supposed to be a good second half of 2021 for the high growth plays. Of course, we have inflation and economic recovery as things that are still question marks for us that are going to see if that plays out, that we have that strength in the growth stocks and in the tech plays. The Delta variant has been talked about, but so far there hasn't been as many quick to move or quick to jump into any sort of lockdown or anything like that. There's more reluctance this time, but I think it's, as I mentioned before on this channel, I just don't think that there's as many question marks as there was before about the coronavirus. More is known, and it's better able to be dealt with. Let me see. CCIV hanging on. So this is, I'm still on the 1 minute chart. Held support though around 23.43 is 23.40 we'll call it, and then looks like we're peaking out somewhere around the $24, but we are squeezing upward. We might we might get enough upward pressure in order to break that, especially if the markets stay positive. So we'll have to watch that play out. Let's see if they've updated. There we go. Churchill Capital for stockholders approved Lucid business combination. So it means that they've had over that 50% vote, and then anybody who didn't vote is still counted as being for it. They didn't have enough yesterday to carry it through. That's why it's not LCID today. They extended that voting window, I believe, until 9 a.m. And so getting that news out, I think Benzinga had it out like 9:08. So they must have had enough of a turnout for that vote from yesterday at market close until today. They reconvened until today at 9 a.m. So seeing that come through, excellent news for Lucid moving forward. We know that the merger is going to take place. And this is something that now that it's been approved, and when we see that ticker change, we could see a little bit of settling for them. It could, it could sell off just a little bit. I think it's going to stay above 20 unless the rest of the market drags it down too. But for me, like that $17 to $19 range, if it falls back around in there, I'll probably load up on a few more shares and increase my position. I do already have a position in Lucid. I'm comfortable with it, and it's one that because they still haven't hit production yet and they haven't hit their deliveries yet, those are ones that I would sort of hold back before more exposure to risk for that moving forward. All right. Let's check in with crypto. There we go. Go back out to the homepage for CoinMarketCap. We'll start there. Bitcoin regaining 32,000. Check that out. Ethereum regained the $2,000 mark. Cardano $1.18, not so bad. Polkadot $12.91, good. Dogecoin about hanging out around 19 cents. So for Dogecoin to even be above a penny is awesome. So I know that it has climbed pretty high. I think what it hit around 70 cents or so per token. I mean, Dogecoin, I mentioned before, I have a USB drive, a flash drive somewhere that has some Dogecoin on it. I don't know how much. For some reason, 20,000 comes to mind, but 2,000 also comes to mind. It's one of those two things. But even so, even if I found it, I have absolutely no idea what my key is for it. So I wouldn't be able to unlock it anyway. I think that notebook got thrown out during some spring cleaning, and it was back in 2013 or 2014. I'd have to look at go back and check the date on that one. When I was doing the script coin mining, and Dogecoin was one of the ones that was trading fairly well compared to Bitcoin and was easy to mine. So even though it was already a meme coin and a joke coin at the time, as it was created to be, it was still fairly lucrative comparatively speaking to some of the other coins that were out there as a miner. All right, zoom out for a moment. I'm gonna put in Polygon here. There they are. So Polygon back up over 90 cents. Wonderful. Staying the fact that they're under $1 right now, while we have sort of a sideways movement, as I would call it, with Ethereum and with Bitcoin, the fact that this is under $1, I think, is still relatively cheap for Polygon. For one that has gone up over $2 twice so far and is still very much in its infancy and still very much still seeing more adoption for it. Let's see some of the news. There we go. So if you check out the news about Polygon and who all is joining it and all of the migration to it as a solution to some of the congestion or gas fees that you would have on the Ethereum mainnet, Polygon is one of those clear winners, and it's one of those altcoins that I really like to invest in for the long term as sort of a long shot. My number one, my favorite one is Ethereum. There you go. All right. When the chart comes up here, I'll switch it over to the candlestick so we can see a little bit more of that. It is nice to see the long term, to see where Ethereum has come from. to its current price that it's at. There we go. And Ethereum, for being the there we go. Well, the Ether token, I should talk about it. So for Ethereum being the platform for, in my mind, the future of business transactions, whether it's decentralized exchanges or DeFi, I think that Ethereum is where we're going to find it, especially as those scaling solutions come in as we move to proof of stake and as we move to sharding. And right now, we see this sideways trading. And I actually was thinking about it this morning. We had another ETF filing. I think there's like 14 different ETFs pending for Bitcoin. And so Ethereum being that next largest cap, that would also be one where I think that we'd start seeing some Ethereum ETFs coming out along the way. One of the criticisms or the comments that are made regarding turning down or delaying the decision from the SEC on approving these ETFs is the volatility and the financial risk that comes with the crypto markets. And so I was wondering, to what degree would the interest in these ETFs impact the price action that we see here, or cause people like the big money, so corporations, hedge funds, the whales out there, to try and bring enough stability for a long enough time until the SEC, could showing more stability be something that allows them to, kind of not force the hand, but like maybe relax the hand or ease the decision-making part for the ETFs, which would be serious buying pressure for Ethereum and Bitcoin and some of the other bigger altcoins that we have out there. So Cardano being a great competitor, Polkadot out there, and then also Chainlink for being the number one Oracle that's out there as well. So seeing some of the stability, I like it, especially because support has been holding so well. We'll see as we squeeze over time if these if these highs keep getting lower and we squeeze down, are we going to break to the downside and actually have a bigger drop, or are we going to see a reversal come in and then take us on the next bull run? We're just going to have to wait for time to tell which way that goes. In the light of an ETF approval, we can have some seriously large green candles, especially if crypto itself is following Bitcoin, and then Ethereum still following Bitcoin, being influenced by it somewhat. Then those are things that we could see moving. It would be that approval of ETFs on the New York Stock Exchange. All right, back over to the stocks over here. Let's see what else is moving. Holy cow, Snap. Up 23% from yesterday's close. So it broke the 75 mark. It looks like it went up over $78.50. So finally finding a top, and it's going to settle a little bit, and some people are going to do some profit taking. We'll see where this ends up. Right now, we're getting a price wall right around like just high 70s, where we're finding a lot of resistance, and then support. Man, this is jumping quick. We got support in the low 77s locking us in right now. All right. Excellent for Snapchat moving forward. Arcimoto climbing up there. Nice. In my Discord, one of my patrons is absolutely huge on Arcimoto. Loves it. Has been in it for a long time, and has done a number of swing trades on it, and also I believe keeps an investment in it as well, so a long-term investment. So seeing this come out for Arcimoto is absolutely wonderful. And not only do they make highly efficient small size EVs that are currently in production, like they're actually being made, and so there's actually orders being placed for Arcimoto, and they're actually they have some sales going. When their earnings come out, gosh, I keep blanking. I didn't bring my coffee in with me. Oh boy. All right. In any case, when their earnings come out, they should have a really decent Q2. They should have a great Q3 moving forward. And people who are driving the fun utility vehicles, which I believe is what FUV stands for, people driving their vehicles love driving their vehicles. They say that they're a lot of fun to drive, and that as being something sort of, even if it's adopted through like recreation at first, and then more broadly adopted for its actual utility as just a small size, highly efficient vehicle, you know, for taking one person from point A to point B or doing grocery shopping or something like that. Those would be wonderful things for Arcimoto moving forward. Analyst estimates, they are running a little bit rich. I wouldn't be surprised if earnings come out Q2, maybe about the same, but by Q3, if we have some upward adjusting on that based on how their orders are doing and how they're filling out that space. There you are. Yeah, nice. So it looks like in order to load up on these, somewhere around high 12s, high to mid 12s would be somewhere where you'd actually find decent amount of support coming in. And not only is it up above the 200-day moving average, but it's also up above the 50. And we also have it coming up to cross the 50, coming up to cross the 200 for a golden cross, which would be a very bullish sign. We do want to watch out that some of the volume is tapering off as we get into these higher prices here. So that could be a sign that some of the momentum is going out of it. We still have a bullish sign here in the RSI when you take a look at it. But I would wonder as this plays out, and I know today's still a little bit young, but with that tapering volume that we have, if it does continue to taper, that's less conviction in these buys at these prices. So I wouldn't be surprised if this turns around and drops in the short term a little bit for a little bit more of that profit taking. And if so, if we treat this sort of as a little bit of a range play that might be setting up, like I said, low to mid 12s, and it looks like we can count on this to go up around at least 16s. I don't know if in the short term we'll break that high of 18-ish dollars per share. You know, time will tell as it plays out, but this is one that's continued to impress me. It's now up. It just tagged 8%. Arcimoto and Redivius launch battery recycling partnership. Excellent. Arcimoto working with, okay, that's the same thing. Cool. So, you know, people who buy into EVs and renewable clean energy, all those things, that's going to be a good call for them to get into that battery recycling. I would call that excellent for acquisition. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oxygen had seen some fairly serious volatility, and it looks like it's finally settling a little bit. It looks like it still makes some fairly big moves. We're finding out where that resistance is being hit, just under $8 per share. We're also finding out where support is for Oxygen as well, somewhere around 619. And right now, our current price for today puts us somewhere in the middle of that. So at least for a short-term trade or trading it, not investing in it, I don't know that right now would be that time to do it. I would wait to either see it go up, and then you could always go short over the short term in order to take that ride back down to support, or wait for it to go to support and then take that long position going back up. Like if you have a cash account instead of a margin account where you're not able to go short positions, or maybe based on principle, like your own set of values, you don't believe in shorting companies. As far as investment moves based off of short-term trends that we see, I don't mind short positions in that way. Over shorting companies to drive them into the ground towards bankruptcy, that's when I would mind short positions, because I don't think that is I don't think that's an excellent way to conduct business. So just to put that out there, because I think sometimes short selling gets a negative connotation in today's markets when we talk about them. All right. Check out that ride that Etsy's had recently. They actually, I think that back here, 5, 6, I wonder if that's when they reported and you saw this drop, that they actually, the guidance that they provided was not great moving forward through the rest of 2021. And I wonder if they've changed that tune. But look how excellently it follows resistance. And then finally we get a day of breaking resistance and then acting as excellent support. So paying attention to that 200-day for Etsy could be a really good indicator for us. Again, we have that faster moving average, that 50 period. Okay, there we go. We have that 50 period curving back up towards the 200-day that we have. And again, that would be that golden cross. I don't know if we'll break that top that we have. It's currently trading over $200 per share. The analyst estimates on this, about 10% upside in order to get that average. And to get up to the high, we have, what would that be? So about 35% to that high analyst estimate out of the 19 that are covering it. So fairly large for Etsy. I know that leading up to my wedding, getting some of the groom's gifts, my wife getting the bridesmaids gifts and flower girls, the ring bearer, all that kind of stuff. Even my parents have recently used Etsy. I think it's just a great place. Like, yeah, it may have been something that allowed small businesses to survive, but I think it also brought a lot of attention to small businesses and the sort of personalized attention and services that they can offer to the public. And I think that that's why we see a lot of the strength coming out of Etsy. And I don't think that its run is over, that they're going to weaken. I think that over time they're going to continue to be a strong company. All right. Cooler Technologies. This is one. It's a very small one that they got approval for air transport for their lithium-ion battery technology for containing it. And they had, check out that volume on that one day. There was a huge order in the pre-market hours that caused that spike to go up on the 17th of June. And I mean, it just dwarfs all of the other volumes that we've had. And it's actually gone right back down in between the moving averages. So above the 200 days, so bullish. It is below the 50 period moving average that we have here. So that would be one you could read about, and it'd be high risk, high reward if you're going for it. Because like I said, they are a teeny tiny company. But if you find out that you like their technology and that they have a good outlook and that they have a serious amount of market to capture and that they stand to capitalize on it, this could be one of those small plays that turns out pretty well for you. But then again, I don't want to just sell the high side of it. There's also the risk side of it, that it could turn out just to be, a flop, because even though they have some pretty awesome technology, there just wasn't a lot of demand for it. Maybe enough competition came and squeezed out, and they never captured any market share. So those are all things that you would just want to keep in mind when you look at companies like that. All right, GBTC. I believe JP Morgan is offering exposure to Bitcoin through Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That could bring in some more buying moving forward with them. They've had a rough time along with the price of Bitcoin. So if we went over to a Bitcoin chart, it would look a lot like you see here. So even though they invested in Bitcoin, it's not explicitly tied to the price for crypto for Bitcoin, but it is highly related to it. So here, let's go to Bitcoin. There you go. I'll zoom out. So this is a little bit more filled in for us for Bitcoin, and that you can see what's happening with it. And we've had just a slow, steady downward trend with Bitcoin recently. But again, just like we saw with Ethereum, we actually have fairly decent support coming in. So that $29,000 to about $30,000 is where we find that area of support for Bitcoin. And this isn't squeezing down as hard as Ethereum has. I mean, it's kind of less, it's narrowing faster, I guess maybe I should say, and rather than such a steep decline that we had for Ethereum. However, it still has that downward movement for off the highs that we see here, with exception to this high that popped up in the middle, but then it settled right back into this little downward channel that you can see here. And again, it comes back to catalysts, momentum, and adoption. There's lots of bullish signs going on for Bitcoin that should be things that really keep that support going right around that $30,000 mark. And it's just a question of when we start to see that turn around. If there's going to be another dip first, and I think it's highly likely that we see one final shakeout where there's a really hard drop down that might even drop us down below that $28,000 mark before we start to see that climb back upward to recapture 35, 40,000, up over 42,000. We'll see how that plays out over time. All right. Again, for any of you watching out there, if you just want to put whatever ticker symbol you want in the comments, and I'll talk about whatever company it is that you want me to talk about. In the meantime, I'll just go through and I'll select some of the companies. As a matter of fact, let me pull up one of my lists. I'll do it on my cell phone here so I don't make your screen jump all around. All right, so let's go to NEO. NEO having a bit of a rough day. However, even though when you look here, with the exception to Monday, which is a rough day for the market overall, the 200-day is actually acting as fairly good support for NEO. And so that's sitting right around that $43 mark. So we'll see how that holds out for NEO. I think finding them somewhere in like the mid 40s is about right now. And then, progressing up to that $50 to $60 mark. Possibly even higher than that as we move forward. This is one that the analysts for coverage for NEO, they have a $13 price target there. I think that's a fairly old one, though. You can see that we have like 80% out of the 21 analysts coming out and calling it a buy or a strong buy. And then we have less than 15% coming in and saying hold. Or if I just combine these, we have like 19% of our analysts saying to hold this. If we take a look at tip ranks, we get to see how timely those analyst estimates are. There we go. So the current low right now, according to tip ranks, is $50 per share, and we're currently trading under $44 per share. So we easily have 10% upside just to get to that low analyst estimate over the next 12 months. Average analyst estimate $64, $45% upside. So take a look at the analyst estimates. And the thing to notice here, that we'll do it so that we can actually see one of the downside numbers on there. So $60, $69, $72, $65, $64. And this is all within the last month that we get those prices. And then $57, $81, $60, $50. Finally, 5 months ago, we have to go back 5 months to get a price target that's currently below NEO's current trading price. So down to Jeffrey's $39 price target that they put on it. And that was by a 3-star analyst estimate. So 4 ratings successful, but it looks like just doesn't have enough rates out. Doesn't have enough analysis out there in order to earn more stars. So we'll see for them play out over time. And just some of the older ones that we have here: 70, 71, 59, 55, 55, 46, and then finally Piper Sandler. That $14 price target was 1 year ago. So these are actually looking fairly old by this point in time, and I don't know. I don't know how applicable they are anymore, because we've actually seen a fair amount of success come out for NEO over time. The more recent ones, I think, are the more applicable ones that we see here, because they use more of the recent information and the more recent developments for the EV space itself and for NEO. So 9 buy ratings, no hold ratings, no sell ratings. That's within recent history, according to tip ranks that we see here. All right, Bill, good morning to you. Favorite stock? NEO is definitely one of them, and I tossed that out for you. Since I'm talking about EV, I'll put Tesla up there. Digital Turbine I'll talk about in just a moment. That's actually one of my favorite stocks that's out there right now. And even though it's got some risk to it, I still think it's a very strong play. Check out the look of Tesla from a low of 67 out of 38 analysts, $67 per share, all the way up to 1,471. That is so broad. So we have an analyst coming in saying pretty much worthless, so worth only a tenth of what they're currently trading at, and that's probably based off the multiple that they currently trade at, which I'm not sure off the top of my head, but it is extremely high. But there's so much fundamental value priced in, and also it's a very popular company as well. That people believe in the technology of Tesla and believe that it's going to continue to be superior and really capture large parts of the market and really open up that autonomous driving space, that they're going to be first to market for it. So there's a lot of reasons why this price stays up and why it's squeezed out so many bears so many times and continues to stay at the high multiple that it currently does. So Tesla, a lot like NEO, is holding support pretty well on the 200-day. When we look at it today, right around that 640 mark. I think like 640 to 650 seems to be a price that we often find it at. and you can look, I'll put it right at, there's 650, and we crossed over recently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So about like 3 trading weeks worth of time that we see it right around that 650, and it's also right around the middle of this wedge that we have happening here with these prices over time. So we'll see which direction it breaks out. It's probably going to move with the entire sector, and it's also going to move the other EVs with it, as it does have a lot of influence. And we also, there you go. There you go. Right across the bottoms, just to show a little bit of the support that we have happening here besides the moving averages. And I can move that up or down a little bit, just to kind of, it's not going to be perfect. But it seems like we have decent support right along there, at least for right now. It's not something that's going to continue on or extend forever, but it could be something that we see play out. And you could argue that the wedge pattern that we have actually happened all the way back here at this peak. Looks like I need to change my scale here. Hopefully I didn't mess up my drawing. There we go. So we'll see as that continues to narrow, which way it's going to break out. Is it going to break to the upside or the downside? We're trading above the 200 days, so that's a bullish sign for us. And it's in a growing industry, so over the long period, I do expect Tesla to improve and continue to maintain a large part of its market share, if not all of it. And as their factories really are fleshed out, and as we rotate more out of the chip shortage, I think we're going to see a lot of really strong numbers coming out of Tesla, and we should see margin improvements, between the revenue and their actual income over time. So back to my two. All right, yeah, CCIV is now Lucid. That's right, MTB Thrill Seeker. So Bill, you asked about my favorite stock. The Digital Turbine was the one. So right now, they did have a little bit of a sell-off, and there's Monday's candle again that we see where it dropped down below the 200-day moving average. It's since recovered that. It closed right about that on, let me see, that was Tuesday. They closed at $62 per share, and it's been running fairly well. There we go. Along the 200-day simple moving average that we have here. So we have decent support coming out of that. And you can see where it tagged resistance up at the 50 period. And so we'll see as that plays out with that big tech news that we had. For them, they're digital advertising, and they're on Android phones, and they get their revenue from that. They've made 3 different acquisitions, and I think the most recent acquisition, or maybe it was 2 acquisitions. I have to go back and look at their investor presentation for that one. The most recent one didn't get counted on Q1; it'll get counted on Q2. So we'll see that play out as they. There we go. As we get that, so Digital Turbine retains strong financials despite the pullback. Excellent. Digital Turbine serves up big growth prospects. Excellent. Analyst estimates on this one. So right now it's trading at 62. And it's well below the low that we have of 86. And this is all 5 analyst estimates, the average of 107, and then the high of 132. And I think that we see every one of those 5 on tip ranks here. Yeah. So I'm using tip ranks premium. I don't currently have a referral link out there, although I will see if I'm eligible to put that referral link out there. I'm not yet affiliated with them. I would love to be affiliated with them. We'll see. But in the meantime, it's just one that I highly like. If you want to go and see when these analysts are put out, this is my favorite thing, is that you can find out exactly when they had them, whether they just initiated coverage or reiterated, whatever might happen to be. But when you look, you have to go back 9 months to get a lower price target than what we have for the current price that is trading at about $62 per share. So 85, 86, 100, 132, 115, 105. And we have some fairly big names in here. And we have, besides Alan Clay, we have fairly good ratings coming out of that as well. There we go. So if I zoom out a little bit more on Digital Turbine, you can see the sort of run that it had all the way back here from May 11th. When things started turning around for tech and high growth. And then it peaked around the same time. Tech and high growth peaked recently, and it sold off with it. had that last worst day recently on Monday, like everything else, and then we're seeing that little bit of recovery back over the 200-day, like we have here, back into support. And I don't think that this is a bad time for me if I was going to buy more, if I was going to dollar cost average more. Now would be a time that I would consider to be okay. The last time that I loaded up was actually on Monday, and I was able to get my shares in the low 58s. I think it was like 58.13 maybe. I don't remember the exact number. I believe it was low 58s. So fairly well timed that day. And honestly, that was luck. I was just looking for it to be, when I saw that it was under 60, I was like, awesome. So, and I saw the rest of the market was down. So that doesn't make it specific to Digital Turbine. All right. So CCIV, we should be getting that ticker symbol change probably on Monday is when we would expect to see that. So this is coming out of Reuters, and like I think Benzinga was the first one to toss that out there, that it's going to switch over to be that's going to be Lucid LCID. All right. So we'll see how the price goes. I said yesterday, if we see a price drop once the merger goes through, don't be surprised. Today we opened fairly well, $24 per share, and we've since then, our current price, $23.30. I said, if it drops 5 to 10% after that, that it would be normal, and we're actually holding on pretty well today, sitting on the 50-period moving average, right around there for support. And if that support holds, excellent. High 20s for CCIV short term, I think starts to get a little bit rich. Low 20s starts to get a little bit attractive. Below 20 starts to get really attractive from a bullish standpoint. So depending on what the market does, if we get some bigger inflation scares, but yet it proves to be transitory, that it's going to move along where it's going to be easier for these growth companies to turn out big profits, then we really have ourselves set up for buying opportunities. And really what you believe and what we see play out with inflation is really going to be a huge determining factor in the success of a lot of these high growth plays that a lot of us like to see. Yeah. So, Bill, Digital Turbine, to answer your question, Digital Turbine is absolutely one of my top picks. Neo is one that I feel most certain about for its success moving into the future. I don't think that the Chinese government is going to let that one go anytime soon. I think it has a lot of popularity, a lot of notoriety, and I think that there's going to be a lot of support and funding to make sure that they stay on top and that they end up being a successful company. So I like what they have going for it. The analysts like what they have going for it. So Digital Turbine, and then Neo is also in there. Tesla, absolutely one of them for those EV plays, another one that I like. And if I look through my list, I'll give you one more. There we go. All right, so the other one that I think is going to come back with a lot of strength, and this one is not in the EV space. This one's more in the crypto space, and that's Coinbase. And there's a lot of people who are proponents for Coinbase, and there's a lot of people who are critics of Coinbase. But really, I think it's a huge popular choice, and I think that they're going to continue to be strong. I mean, it has been a while since I talked about Coin. Let's toss them up there. So for them to open when they did, with the crypto markets being up as high as it was, they had an incredible start for their IPO, but it's before we had the sell-off like we did. So the high price, $429 on the day that I opened, the low $310, and then we saw it sell off. But the nice thing about the sell-off and the fact that support is holding right around 210, we'll call it just in the middle of the 208, that was the low on the chart, and the 212 that I currently have it at. So 208 to 212, so about $210 per share is where we're finding bottom for Coinbase right now. And that is significantly below many of the analyst estimates that are out there. And because I believe this strength will come back to the crypto markets, especially for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the fact that those are the two main holdings, that are the assets that are on the platform. I believe they refer to it as AUP. Um, um, no, it's assets under management. It's AUM. So for the assets under management that I have, Bitcoin being the biggest one at like 60 some percent, 62, I think it was when they last reported on it. And then I think that Ethereum was like 23%, I think comes to mind. Those two holdings are absolutely huge for Coinbase, and they are adding coins. So there's more combinations that you can do your exchanges in, more offerings that are there. So they continue to innovate and expand. And I think that they're going to do really well because they have their eyes very much forward for the crypto markets and how to stay viable and how to really survive against the competition that comes off. And one of the biggest concerns for them, for a lot of investors for them, is the race to the bottom when it comes to their exchange fees, because that is where they make almost all of their money, and they make an incredible amount of money off retail investors doing or trading crypto on their platform, and almost none of their money do they make off the institutions doing that trading. They make very little, very small percentages of their revenue from institutions trading, because they want them there as the market makers to help ensure that that liquidity for the different cryptocurrencies that are on there. So I do like Coinbase. I think that they're going to come back to strength with the crypto markets, and the fact that they've set such a nice base for us right around the $210 lets us know about what to expect. So right now I would call a decent price for myself. For me, 210 would be a great price, and should it ever come down to 200, or even if it tips below 200, if you watch crypto and if you watch Bitcoin tank, for example, and because I did say I think that crypto will take a pretty heavy dip before it takes its next bull run. If that happens, that could set up an excellent buying opportunity for me in Coinbase moving forward. So seeing this drop below 200, which hasn't happened yet, seeing it happen would be very attractive pricing because of my bullish position on Coinbase. All right. Sorry, Bill. I was just reading a comment. Thank you very much. Yeah, share with your friends. And if there's anybody else who likes to watch market opening things, let them know, get them on here. And, the more participation I have, the more interesting it gets, because we can get through more coverage, and, more stuff can be brought to my attention. And, then I can go and pick out the things that I like, and I can also bring more stuff to your attention. And, I think it makes for a really nice place to have that sort of interaction. I really do enjoy coming on here and talking with you guys. All right. What else we got? So MP Materials. Let's see how they're doing recently. Not bad. So let me see. Formerly, okay, producer of rare earth metals. So somebody asked me about MP Materials. It's not one that I provide coverage on, but I wanted to check in on it because it's been a while since we saw it. And so I think that they asked about early June. So checking this out, the 50 period that we have, the 50-day that's up here, acting fairly decently as support for us. And we're trading above the 2 moving averages I have on here. So we're sitting in a fairly bullish position for MP. And we're also below all 7 of the analyst estimates that are on here. Absolutely wonderful for that too. So we have, let me see, 10%, 30% upside. No. About 25% upside to the average analyst estimate. Not so bad. It's funny because I sit here and I'll do a little bit of mental math, and sometimes when I do it, the decimal point shifts on me, and so that makes things a little bit weird. I could always just come over to Tip Ranks. And again, I don't get paid by them in any way. I just really enjoy them. If they do have a referral and they want to pay me, fine. I'll take the money through those referrals, but I don't receive any money for them right now. So I said about 25% upside to the average. So on Tip Ranks, they're saying 23%. So we're sitting fairly well low, coming in at 37.50, and lots of buy ratings that we have on MP Materials. So decent outlook, considering right now that it's trading last price at 34. So it's trading under the analyst estimate by about 10% or so. Yeah, maybe I should do a little bit more reading on that one to find out how it's going. The thing is about some of the some like the 2xing and stuff that we would see. And one of the reasons why I don't talk about it as much is that you don't always see or right now, because we have had such another run up like we've had, and we've had that shakeout from the bottom. It was more easy to talk about 2xing and recovering. And now we're sort of in the middle of that it's going to be harder to hit those 2 times multiples that we have. And plus, there still is those sort of inflation fears and stuff, and really seeing how they play out and watching whether or not they subside over time. Those are things that are going to kind of influence the forward look of these stocks. Let me see, Chris. Best battery play for EVs. All right, so battery plays. It's one that charging stations I would know a little bit more about. Batteries I should probably look a little bit more into. So, Chris, I don't have an answer at the moment, but if you toss out a couple tickers, we can take a look at the different companies that are out there. By the way, it's about 10:18. I'll go until 10:30, so another 11 or 12 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap things up. And if there are any companies you want me to take a look at, just toss those tickers into the chat there, and I'll go ahead and take a look at them and let you know what I see. So you can see the rough time that ChargePoint is having recently. So we've had what a 30% sell-off or so recently, over 30%, dropping us back down to $23 per share. What do we got? Double top resist around 26. And there was Monday, where Monday actually wasn't a bad day, but that was following a recent sell-off for the rest of them, trading below the moving averages, but they're still positively sloped. So this could turn around in the short term, and it looks like off the bottom of these candles, I'm going to have to change my scale or my view, or it's not going to let me draw. I do have a graphics tablet that I hope to switch over to. I need to buy another piece of hardware. I've used up every port on my computer, so right now I'm out of them. But they're that slant line support. If you want to take a look at that, the fact that we're coming down 23, that is something that could hold for us, that we could see kind of a slow creeping up that we would have for ChargePoint coming up from $19. I don't think that 23's, I don't think it's a horrible price. And if support holds right around that $23 mark, that could be a good sign for us. We know that there's decent upside potential that would go along with it. So right now, $23 per share. Low analyst estimate out of the 8 that are covering is 28, and this one being the current leader in the space. For them, really winning out in the infrastructure package would be something that would definitely help them, that they receive some government funding in order to build those out, and really showing that they can translate those EV charging stations into the bottom line, that it comes out into their earnings and turns them profitable. The bigger ramp up that they're able to do, and the faster they're able to return that back to the investors through showing on their bottom lines that they really are able to step up and become profitable. Those are things that are going to be really, really good and really bullish for the stock price that we see with ChargePoint moving forward. So 8 analysts we'll look at that on tip ranks. There we go. So low price target, $29. So the nice thing about that, about being below the low, when we're trading below the low like we are, I don't know, below the low, we have, what, 20% upside to get us up to the low analyst estimate, and 68, pushing 70% upside over the next 12 months to get us to that average analyst estimate right now. We have, let's see who's covering it. Needham, Roth Capital, Oppenheimer, Jefferies. Let me see. Citigroup is also in there, but with no ratings. That was 4 months ago. Within the last month, these are ones that to me are really impactful. So we have 39 in the last month as the low price target, and then 40 and 46. And again, we're trading right now at like $23 per share. So I don't think that we're poorly positioned at this point for ChargePoint. When we look at the analyst estimates, and we have to remember industry growth when we look at it for EVs, and as they proliferate, they're going to need more charging stations to go along with them. And then as Chris was asking about for battery plays, which I should do a little bit more research on, those are ones we're going to need more batteries to go along with them. So there's batteries to be charged. But ChargePoint still, to me, is the number one. I think it's going to be one of the big winners in the space. THCB. All right, Victor, I see you and I got you. THCB. All right. So it looks like we have possibly a SPAC here. Approved business combination with Microvast. Okay. I'm just reading through the news real quick to see what we have. Because it is, I believe it to be a SPAC. That's what it looks like. Blank check company. Yeah. I just wanted to see who they're merging with and see if I could know something about them. So they approved the business combination, and then we had the sell-off. This is what I was talking about for CCIB, that we could see some of that dying off in the share price. I don't think we're going to go down to $10 for Lucid. I think if it hangs around the low 20s until they hit production and until they start hitting deliveries, that we start to see mid and high 20s start to come into play. That would be things that I would see for CCIV moving forward. I think when they start reporting on their deliveries, then we start seeing the price start to break. You know, if they're good reports, and if they give good forward outlooks, and they report for excellent demand for Lucid, then those are things that I could see going up above $30. So we'll just have to watch and see how that plays out. So there's not going to be any analysts on this one because it did just complete the merger. It looks like the business combination. So they're no longer a SPAC. So this could drop down below that $10 per share. We'll have to see that. And if we look at the if there's pipe investors on this and there's a pipe investor price, then we can go with the price they got in at. And if it was right around that $10 mark, then we could be in good shape. I just don't know anything about Microvast. Those are ones. Let's see what Seeking Alpha has to say. Uh-oh. Well, it didn't find that page, so let's go to a different one. All right, so, well, they didn't really tell us anything on there as well. All right, dropped 3%, and it looks like the shareholders. Okay, so it's only been a day, so we're just into the next day after the combination, then it dropped. So looking at support, it's going to be tough talking about what's going to happen based on what has happened. You can't always look to the past for that one. It has sold off along with a lot of the other stocks, and they did just complete the business arrangement. So in order to see more selling off right around that could explain why we see it. So you could think about it as a lot of the risk currently coming out. And if you look at the RSI that I have up here, which is excellent for this strongly trending security that we have, it's dipping. It's down below 30. So we're starting to reach oversold territory. So Victor, moving forward, this is one that could turn around for us. We could start seeing it catch bottom, but I would look for signs of reversal first, at least from the daily chart. I'm not seeing signs that it's going to turn around yet. If this were more of a hammer candle that it closed much higher to the opening price that we had, maybe we would see a little bit more for that. Of course, today's not over yet, but those are just things that I would look for. So if you're bullish on it, and it's one that you continue to enjoy the outlook of, then, well, that would guide you for dollar cost averaging, because going for a lower price wouldn't hurt for a company that you believe is going to increase in price over time when you see the price go lower like this. But I can't talk specifically about Microvast because I just don't really know them. Thanks. Maybe we could do a video about Blinkers. Absolutely. So, Chris, I'm going to get back to the regular videos. The reason that I haven't been doing the recorded videos is just because the wedding, because I just recently got married, so getting ramped up for that. And then I went on my honeymoon, and then I went on family vacation. So I'm getting back into YouTube land. So this is the current time that I can afford, but I am going to get those recorded videos back out there because there are some companies that I need to give some updates on, and I hope to see the turnout come from that. So I do like doing the market open, and I think it was a nice offering. And now that things are starting to smooth out in my schedule and getting back to normal, I can also get back to normal in YouTube world as well. But But yeah, Blink charging, might as well bring it up since we brought up ChargePoint. Who was this? Who mentioned it? This was, I saw it somewhere. Ah, there it is. It's from Chris. Blink versus ChargePoint. Okay. So Blink's a great company, just a smaller company from ChargePoint. And what are we looking at? The 30-minute chart here. So intraday anyway, it tags support and then it seems to be holding on to that. Let's look down at the 5-minute chart. So just from a short-term perspective, we could see this turn around a little bit. It also could be a little bit of a pennant formation. We'll see. We are starting to get into the later part of the market, that 10:30, so things could settle down for Blink moving forward. They could be, let's look at the daily chart for them. See how similar it is to ChargePoint. It's fairly similar, except for this last little recovery. I don't know if we saw that in ChargePoint. Let me bring it back up just a moment. There we go. Okay. So besides the last 2 days, Blink and ChargePoint are actually looking fairly similar, which is a good thing. So when they move, they're not necessarily, they look very similar. Okay. So when they move, they're not necessarily moving based on individual company news. They're moving more together. So when they move in related ways like that, then, it's just the way that that current sector or industry might happen to be moving. So let me see what they say. Capitalizing long-term EV investment opportunity. Excellent. Okay. So Blink runs on a different business model than ChargePoint does, and people actually get a little bit excited about the profitability potential that's out there for Blink, but they are significantly smaller. So when you invest with them, it would be a little bit riskier in that way. And I'd have to go back and look at my notes, what it says for Blink charging. But I believe that they may have been free for charging, and then it would be maybe the businesses that would fund that. I might have it backwards at ChargePoint. I'm going to have to look. It was really interesting, though, when I was reading about the different ways where they receive their revenue for Blink versus ChargePoint. But yeah, I'm going to go back and refresh my notes, and maybe that is worth another video. Currently, it is finding a bit of resistance on the 200-day. It's trading below it, so the positive slope, good thing. The 50 is kind of sideways, but we are bumping up against resistance. Analyst estimates on this one, decent. So it is sort of comparative to what we saw for ChargePoint. Let's go over here to tip ranks. Will I be by Bill? I'll get to your question in just a moment. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. All right, so here's Blink 38, 17% upside from what it says, and it says 3 analysts, 2 buy, 1 hold. So when you look at this, we don't have as much coverage on it because it is smaller. So that puts us a little bit more in the dark, at least as far as what the professionals are saying for the outlook of the company. We'll bring up ChargePoint for comparison. There we go. So we have 6 people covering this one, and within the last month, I know I had this up before, I just couldn't remember everything that it said on it. So within the last month, even up to a few days ago, we have some very bullish analysts covering this, and it would be nice to see the bears come out and see that sort of bear case for it. In other words, what's the worst case scenario look like? Because that informs us about the risk, more of the risk that we're taking on when we invest in a company like ChargePoint, and the fact that they aren't yet profitable, and that question of when do they get to profitability, and inflation actually wipes out a lot of their future earnings. When you adjust for inflation, it makes it much harder for them to make more money in today's dollars. So investing now would be much weaker, and it will wash out your investment because it washes out their revenues and their profits when inflation comes in. So if we do see settling and returning back to lower inflation rates, then that's good news for growth stocks like this one. All right. So what I buy ETH right now. So Ethereum right now, John, or no, it was Bill. Sorry. Bill, at $2,000 or just under 2,000 when Ethereum first started dropping off of its highs, was a place where I thought was a great place to load up. Would be should it drop below 2,000 because that round number support that we have. And then more recently, finding out more about the price action that we see, I think still under 2,000 is good. I don't think that at 2,000 is too bad. But seeing it drop below 1,800 is really where I think we have a decent load up point that we keep on hitting support there, and it keeps on playing out for us. And so would I buy it right now? If I didn't already have a position, or if it was just time to just add to my position in Ethereum, today wouldn't be the worst of days to do it. If I saw a huge run up like we saw today, where we see those green days, then those are times that would be more reluctant in order to add to my position, just because it has been run up, and typically there's profit taking after some run ups. So just some things to think about. So would I buy it today? Yes, but it would be more of a dollar cost average, more so than it would be loading up. Below 1750 or at around 1750 or that $1,700 mark, now we're talking about a little bit more buying because there's more attractive pricing in it. So those are things that I would do for myself, just looking at Ethereum. Bill, something else that I mentioned, and again, these are my opinions, and I highly recommend that you get other perspectives on it, and you really start to fill out your own idea for it. But I think that we're going to see one more drop, and I think it's going to be because I just don't think we hit peak fear yet. I think we had a lot of fear back here when it initially dropped, and since then we sort of settled down, and we kind of maybe a little bit queasy over watching the price action take place. But I don't think that we're at a new peak fear place. And so when we think about the Wyckoff method, there's usually a final shakeout prior to more of that accumulation phase showing up, and that we start to see the volume really come back into this. So I think there'll be other opportunities, especially given the lower highs that we have. But we're also holding support. But I wouldn't be surprised if we had one final push from the bears in order to just sink our price real quick, and it would happen for a day, maybe a week, and then we would start to have that march back upwards where we really start to turn things around. So I think that there's a day at least of peak fear ahead of us in the crypto markets, and it could be sustained longer than that. Could be a few days, could be a week, could be a few weeks. But overall, Ethereum is one that I'm the most bullish on out of all of them, and I think that switching over to proof of stake is one of the first big changes that's really going to show that, and then sharding is going to be the icing on the cake for that as they continue to develop Ethereum and work on its scalability. I just think it's going to become monstrous, and I think it's going to take off over time. So we're just going to have to watch that play out, and we should see a lot of this downward pressure that comes from the miner selling, for instance. And right now there's a lot of staking of the crypto in order to capture some of the interest rates that are there as well. So we don't necessarily see as much trading for that. There's just a lot of things going on in the background that keeps us from really seeing some of the progress, because Ethereum is still a fairly dirty, or Ether, I should say, is still a fairly dirty token to mine right now. Even if there are a lot of renewables used for it, it still does use a ton of energy, regardless of where the source is. And proof of stake just uses a whole lot less. It washes out the need for a lot of the really expensive hardware and warehouse size computers and everything. No problem, Bill. Fear index is at 23. All right. Helps if I can spell. So checking out fear and greed. So I mentioned, oh geez, I don't know if we'll see anything on here. We'll have to find out. Let me go back, not to Twitter. Let me go to actual website. There you go. So crypto fear and greed at X taps low, extreme fear, Bitcoin technos point to uncertainty. I like the picture. There you go. Yeah. So what I got to say about this picture, just real quick, because it does apply to investing. If you're investing in ways that make you feel like this, then, you know, you could be a little bit more risk averse than you realize, and you might want to take less risky moves, like, you know, investing in index funds, something that has a little less volatility to it. And I would say that crypto certainly isn't for the faint of heart. So any money that I put into it is money that, especially crypto, as bullish as I remain, I would hate to lose it. I don't know that I would ever feel like this. So just be aware of how much you're risking, and know the risks that you take, and, you know, really take some time and reflect on what it would be like to lose all of it. I don't think that's going to happen with Bitcoin or Ethereum, but some of the really small altcoins that you have out there would be things that you'd really want to just be careful with. All right. So alternative.me. So this is probably the one that you're referring to. So if it's at 10 and it's saying extreme fear, well, according to the fear index, maybe we are at peak fear. You know, that would be that would be more reliable than what I would say. So let me move on here. Yeah. So if we're MTB, if we're that fearful, and let me go to Bitcoin. So if we're at peak fear and still rocking above 30,000, that's really good confirmation for this sort of base that we have just below 30,000, or even down at, we'll call it 29,000. So to be that fearful and still be this well positioned, I think would be really good, and that we could, sooner than I would expect, see a reversal if it does happen that way. So we'll watch it play out over time. Looking at the RSI on Bitcoin, we just don't have a strong movement. We're still sitting slightly in bearish territory. And this last peak that we had, and then we have lower peaks that follow that are actually pretty much even, but still just keeping us just below 50. We just need that strength to come in and a little bit more volume to come in to really give us some good bullish confirmation that we have here, that we're going to start reversing our trend. All right. So what time is it? Oh my goodness. I said I would close up at 10:30 and it's 10:40. All right. Well, a bonus 10 minutes. So thank you guys so much for participating in the comments. I really appreciate it. I'll be back again. Ooh, today's Friday. Darn it. I guess I'll be live streaming on Monday. And I think it was Chris who mentioned about putting out the videos. I will be doing some more recordings. Like I said, it was a very, very crazy, well, I guess it was a crazy month between, like I said, wedding, honeymoon, and then family vacation to follow. And just one final wrap up thing. My family's been incredibly understanding and patient as I go through this, because it does take a lot of time. So when I was on my honeymoon and I was on my vacation, I didn't want to take that time from them, because I felt like it was our time to be together, and my time to give back to them for all of the work that they put in, because it does take a lot of time to record the videos, to do the research in the stock market, and it also takes up it's a lot of resources, and it's a lot of time. And I'm very thankful to all of them, my wife and my daughters, for showing me that sort of patience and grace. And I'm just a lucky guy overall. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And enjoy your weekend, and read up, and we'll see where things take us for Monday. Have a great day, everyone.